Welcome to another episode of the 116 Life here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. Shout out to you and yours for tuning in once again. We appreciate you guys rocking with us as always. My name is Meah Evans and I am one of your hosts of this amazing show. And as always, with twinning them, I got Ace Harris in the building. What's going on, Ace?
I'm doing good. Man, we always be coordinating. I feel
always.
Like got the green, you got the
At
green.
this point, we should, I don't even know, man.
Start a clothing brand?
You already on it as you peep the hat.
Shameless plug. By the way, I will say the wrist wear is fire. Like I like how you stack the bracelet.
I've kind of been into this lately.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like lightweight. It's not too much.
Can you explain what this is that?
This one?
Yeah.
So you know, of course, the popular WWJD.
Yeah.
So what would Jesus do? So this is the answer to it, and it's HWLF, which he would love first. So
that's fire. So would you like have both next time, like one-on-one? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know what? If I can find one, I've actually been trying to. I have a WWJD hat, but I don't have. I don't
I
have
wonder
the bracelet.
I wonder who owns that.
Does
the businessman is me. Is
listen, right? You know,
I'm like, how can we get that going?
Sponsor. Yeah. You know, shout out to everyone that's tuned in. We have a great guest on the show. One thing that I really like, Ace, that what we do when we bring guests on the show is that we bring people who are connected to the vision here at Reach, but you may not see them as much because they're behind the scenes, but a lot of your favorite music videos, pictures, different things like that are a part of how you're able to see and view these artists is because of these people. And we have someone here who is known for working with Cray and working with Few, working with the Dove Awards, working with Jelly Roll. I'm telling you, like, the list goes on. He's a phenomenal photographer, videographer, and just creative storyteller. We got Barnett on the show. How are you, friend?
Hello, doing fantastic. A little bit chilly. How art thou?
We're good.
How art thou? Man.
Listen, you said something right with chilly, because when you prayed before we started, you said with this weather, and I was like, Ace, it is cold outside. What are you talking about?
It's warm. The sun is shining. It feels. I feel you. It's cold. It is cold.
It's brick outside.
It's definitely.
Well, we're in what is it called? False spring, where y'all know that the flowers are blooming. It looks like it's supposed to be spring, but it's not. So that's what. Shout out to everyone in Atlanta, everyone in Georgia who knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
But Brandon, how are you feeling, man? We are wrapping up Q1. Talk about how this year has been treating you so far.
Right now, well, first and foremost, sorry, this is Jerry, everybody. Just
Shout
in case if you're wondering why there's a dog here.
For those now who are obviously listening on the radio segment, Barsnetti has brought his good friend Jerry, who is a dog, and I don't know what kind of.
Yo, Ace is not a dog person.
He's not. He is
a dog. It is so funny hearing Ace interact with Jerry.
What would Jesus do? He would love first.
There
you go.
First.
Jerry, I love you.
Dogs. Yeah, that was fake. Anyways,
let's stay over there though. Love from a distance.
I just want to at least first of all just establish first and foremost how legendary, like, even being on this podcast and having the opportunity to speak with you guys here is, mainly because Reach has been a part of my life for a longest time. I'm a 116 baby. For those of you who are probably listening, I actually have a 116 tattoo on my arm. And so it actually is an honor to even be speaking right in front of Ace, because I've seen him online for like over 10, 15 years, just behind everything, every piece of history that CHH has kind of like brought forth. And so, like, I'm probably shaking on the inside. You won't tell, because I'm a thug. And so I'm just
You're doing great.
not going to do it. But yeah, so I just want to say thank you guys for establishing history. Seriously.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you. Like I said, I was kind of getting into some of the work that you do, and even outside of that, when I've been around you, you've just been really pleasant, like a nice dude. So I want to always get to know people, like, you know, for who they are, and not just for what they do. And my experience so far is like, yo, it's a really cool guy. I like his vibe, like his energy, and feels like a really solid stand-up dude.
Honored.
And kind of funny too. So yeah. Shout out Jerry. Jerry's in the building. I'm gonna make it through this episode, y'all. I'm not scared of Jerry.
You're gonna do it.
Jerry's fine. It's just yeah. He's
you
great.
like boundaries, Ace.
Yeah.
You like boundaries.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to us, Brandon, about how this year's just been treating you. Like, you know, going into 2026, what were your goals? Like, what was on your forefront? Just talk about us where you're at currently.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had recently started a marketing agency with the aim of kind of like serving a lot of people just in the world, not even just necessarily creatively, but like there are a lot of unknown businesses, a lot of unknown places that just are actually doing something authentic and passionate to their communities that just do not get the recognition that they deserve and need. And so that's kind of been one of my biggest hearts. But then also on top of that, I think as of this year, God had also put in my heart to like just, this is going to sound really weird as a title, but like just to be a kid and just know what that looks like. And so my biggest thing is all about like not making sure that I take things professionally, but not taking things seriously, you know, and just knowing what that balance looks like, knowing how to tame that. And so recently, a video of mine went proportionally viral just to the amount of followers that I had at the time, like I think 5K. And it was just about like working like a child of God and just knowing what that looks like. Because of course, you know, and Luke talks about the time when there were some kids who just came around to Jesus, and all the other disciples were trying to get the kids off of Jesus because in those times, kids were kind of seen as someone or as a nuisance, and they're just not really good in the eyes of like the Pharisees, X, Y, and Z. They just, you know, slow things down. And Jesus is like, yo, what are you doing? Bring them over here. Unless if you are humble like these children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. And so that has been practically my, that's been practically like the title that's been a forefront of my mind, my vision, and kind of where I just want to treat things moving forward. And so far that's brought me to some pretty cool things. I was actually just yesterday coming off of filming with TBN, recording, hosting a show rather than not even just being behind the scenes, but in front of it, hosting a recap for the Dove Awards from last year. So getting into this year. And so, but that only came from like a situation of me treating recaps and videos and even hosting like a kid from the last time when I did a recap of the Dove Awards from last year. And so it just, that's kind of the thing that usually happens. I just don't necessarily know why people are interested in any of the videos that I make or anything like that. But because of that kind of aim that I have, that's what I just want to bring into the world, just a pure kind of aspect of just childlike energy into anything that we do, but making it look good and professional.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's so interesting because now hearing you say that, and I know the video you're referencing to, now thinking about it, I think I kind of see that now, even when I see your recap videos of things you make, very high energy, very quick, you know what I'm saying? Quick pace, high pace, certain clips and things like that. And I think that's just so important for us to be able to learn from that, to have this childlike faith. I know Aisha can probably attest to it from your boys and me having nieces. You learn a lot. I don't know about you, but like you learn a lot about faith. Sometimes when you're around kids, they have like this, like they believe that they can do anything. Like nothing is off limits, you know? And we should be the exact same way. And seeing you apply that in your art is admirable. How have you been able to apply that recently in your life?
Define, could you go a little bit deeper on what
so how, when it comes to having this childlike faith and being childlike in the eyes of the Lord, because I remember in your video, you said something that I thought was very key, where you said, we're not adults of God, we're children of God. So how have you been able to apply that practically in your life, whether it be with relationships, whether it's in you serving at your church, or maybe even through your art as well?
Well, I would say if I'm putting that in a practical sense, I think even in just the way that, for example, for some of the most recent projects, when we were shooting that music video with Forrest Frank in San Diego, or or I'm shooting videos with Few or any person that I'm usually working with, like I probably make them uncomfortably comfortable because like I'm the type of person who on set, even if I'm directing it, I don't mind screaming at the top of my lungs and then just start dancing out of nowhere and like saying random things in their performance. There had been countless times where even when I was shooting with you, where I would just say something totally random, and it would like cause him to start laughing on set, and he always has to like hide himself, kind of a deal. But I think in me doing those things, usually what happens is that anytime that I'm working with anyone, they kind of see it at first as like, oh man, this guy is really unprofessional. What is going on? Why did we even bring this guy on? I'm pretty sure Ace was thinking the same exact thing the first time that I was working with him over at Alter. Like, why is he talking about flamingos right now in the middle of us trying to do this really serious thing with Alter and Jackie Hill Perry? And then we create something that's completely different. We create something that hasn't necessarily been seen before. And that's because there is a mind that is not normal. It's the mind of a kid that cretes the innovation. Not.
Can you say that again?
Of course, yeah.
Hold on. We got to frame that.
No, for sure. Absolutely. No. Children create innovation. Like adults just create progress.
It's the mind of a kid that creates innovation. So even what you're saying is
correct.
Even in your adulthood, it's that part of your brain that embodies childlikeness that actually sparks the innovation.
Absolutely. Yeah. And which is why it's important of a creative. It's the job of a creative to stay creative at the end of the day. I mean, as a matter of fact, not to go too deep into this, because I know that wasn't necessarily the question. No, but there was and I mentioned it in my video, but there was a study that NASA conducted way back when, in around the 1960s, where they conducted a pool of measuring childlike creativity and genius levels of creativity and creative thinking in children over the course of time. And so it was a pool of children starting from 3 to 5 years old, and 98% of those children measured genius levels of creativity. By the time they reached 10, 50% reached genius levels of creativity. No, as a matter of fact, not even 50, 30% reached genius levels of creativity. By the time they were 15, only 12% of them still retained genius levels of creativity. And so the fun thing that they did as a contrast, even to measure against children, is that they had adults that they measured for genius levels of creativity in the same exact test. And the shocking issue was that only 2% retained those genius levels of creativity. Yeah. Over time, it just leaves if we're not taking good care of it. So keeping that in there is the thing that will still bring innovation, new ideas, and new perspectives for a lot of us to think about.
That's so dope. I mean, what I hear you advocating is the charge to like steward creativity.
Correct.
And because if you don't, based on the data, what you're saying is you could essentially lose it. But also what's encouraging is that we all have it.
Yeah.
It's in there's a spark in all of us. So my curiosity is like, man, if you're at that adult level and you're at that 2%, what would it look like? Because I mean, obviously we're not 3 and 5 anymore. We missed the genius train, but how can we pull, I think what I hear you advocating and calling for is how can we pull back some of that? How can we transport ourselves back to the time we were kids? Yes. And pull and extract some of that childlike innovation, energy, and then extrapolate it in our current time frame. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on a second. Let me tell you something. First and foremost, it's actually one of the, like, we never really recognize it, but it's one of the easiest things to do. Like, we never usually want to use it as the bait for everything, but nostalgia is kicker, okay? Just being able to transport yourself back to a time when you were younger, you were listening to these things, it'll remind you of the inspiration that you once had. So personally, for me, I was like a Cartoon Network kid, a Disney Channel kid, but then also like a Nick at Night kid. So I was watching all the George Lopez's, the Family Matters, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You already know. I'm talking about like you know how they do Will Smith and Carlton, they just like do the little... like that thing, like that was always a part of my history. Everybody Hates Chris, Phineas and Ferb, Hannah Montana, Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Camp Laszlo. The list literally goes on and on. Yeah. And so every single time that you like listen to these things and you just think about, you see the episodes again, you remember what it was like to laugh at that one SpongeBob SquarePants meme or something of the sort. Like it seems childish, of course, at first, but it also just unlocks a feeling and emotion of a remembrance and a vibe that you had just about everything that you used to do back then and all the things you used to dream about that were dormant. And then you just get that kicker again to want to just see what it looks like to do it now that you know everything that you know. Because isn't that something that every one of us thinks about? If we knew what we know now back then, we would do things totally different. We can still do that now. We can still do that today.
So good.
That's so good, man. You unlock something really with nostalgia. And when we come back, we want to get nostalgic just for a little bit and just kind of dive into like your childhood. I'm curious to know those things that did spark some more of your creativity, but even also your faith as well. So don't go anywhere. It's the 116 Live here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. Ace Harris, Meah Evans, and Barsnetti in the building. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, y'all, to the 116 Life Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. I'm one of your hosts, Ace Harris, here with the amazing Meah Evans and Barsnetti, the man behind, normally the man behind the camera, now the man in front of it. Shout out our producer, Matt. We just had an offline conversation. I still love basketball. I still love the NBA. Bet on Jesus. All right, so here we go.
Bet on Jesus.
Bet on Jesus. Bars, man. We left off talking about your great nugget and word about childlike faith. I mean, I feel like I gotta take that and like give it to our staff, man. You really snapped with that. Talk about in terms of this childlikeness that you've been able to employ in your creative work. Talk about your actual childhood. What did that look like? What did that feel like? How was your upbringing?
Yeah, childhood was pretty cool. It was pretty decent. Grew up in Florida, so around all the drive-by shootings and just beaches and stuff. So
what part of Florida were you from?
I was over from Fort Lauderdale area, so might be something a lot of people might recognize. But I was specifically in a state called Margate, Florida. So it's been a pretty chill spot. Right. Nothing really crazy happens there, but my parents are creative folks in general too, to an extent. So like my mother, she is a singer, and she grew up from an artistic family that loves to paint. But that creativity was kind of dormant in her as she was more of a singer, serving in church as a worship leader. And then my father loves to play the piano. He is a musician through and through. But funny enough, I didn't realize this until I was told later on, by the time I was like 16, 17, 18, that my father actually wasn't my father. And so I was like, oh, okay, I have a stepfather. Well, I call him my dad number one regardless because he raised me, but I was like, oh, I have a biological dad.
Yeah.
And so after I got a chance to meet my biological father, I realized, oh, he owns his own photography studio and camera stuff. And I'm like, now it kind of makes sense. What also doesn't make sense is he's bald. So I'm really scared for like what that means for me in the future.
You got time. You could rock a Mr. Clean. You could. Well, I can see it. Well, not now, but
as someone who's older than both of y'all, and I'm hanging on, but it's starting to
keep them baseball caps.
No, I say step out with it. But okay, we can talk about Mr. Clean, or we can talk about
yeah, we can.
I want to unpack. So and if we're pushing too deeply, let us know. But so you found out that who you thought was your dad was not your dad at the age of 16, 17?
Yeah.
And how did that happen? What was the conversation like?
It was just a conversation. They pulled me. I came home from school one day. I was eating my honey bun, and then I just sat down in a chair with my mother and father. They were like, "Hey, buddy, we got something to tell you." I'm like, "Is everything all right?" And then my dad just started like hyperventilating a little bit because it felt like he was scared to tell me so, or just fearful of doing so. It was like, "Hey, so fortunately, I'm not your dad." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." I personally had no issue with that.
That's amazing.
I really didn't. Like, it wasn't like oh man, I had a whole Batman arc where I was like, oh, okay, my dad's not my dad. Where's my real dad? All this kind of stuff. And it's a BET special. And then I was like, no, I was okay. I know that things happen, so I'm not having an issue with it. I'm very grateful for my father for still being there presently as much as he could, and doing what he can with what we had. And so it's like, okay, I really honor that and commend that. And then I also don't fault my biological father for whatever happened, because it's like, okay, I mean, like, things do happen. Jesus isn't scared of any of us. Like when it comes to anything that we have probably done in our sin or anything of the sort, I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. The only issue that really arose was when I realized the for lack of a better term, the trauma that came with it for everyone else. There was historical trauma that came with that. So I mean, like, I was born technically like out of wedlock, but my and I'm trying to think of how to word this correctly. And my biological father and my dad were technically friends. And so something happened, and it's like, okay, cool. I was born from my biological father out of wedlock, and then, you know, there's this whole other thing that happened. So there is kind of this huge tension where my dad, number one, you know, the dad who raised me, my stepfather, just has a huge apprehension and has been absolutely hurt by everything that happened surrounding dad number two. And so it's really hard to bring up either person in either spaces. So if I'm home with my dad number one, it's really hard to talk about dad number two. If I'm around dad number two, you know, it's really convoluted to speak about dad number one in situations. And so knowing that now, that's the one thing that started to bring up like a whole lot of different other kinds of traumas, because it's like, all right, there's a lot of folks that are surrounding this, not even just my two fathers, but the people associated with my two fathers. There are people who have taken sides on either end from different families, and it's like, I'm kind of realizing that I am the physical representation of everything wrong that's kind of happened.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, okay, great. I'm a trauma response. Like, this is good to know. Like, and so I'm just out here crying, like a little kid. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know it was my fault. Like, I mean, my biological father was married. I ended up finding out I had two half sisters. Amazing folks. They love me. I love them. They're great folks. Somehow they beat me in arm wrestling. I thought I was really strong. I'm not, apparently. But their family, my biological father's family, and, you know, his new wife, it even tore me more when I had found out that they had gotten a divorce, just because the mother kind of blamed me like for kind of existing a little bit. And so she kind of put the reason on me as to why they divorced.
Right.
And so it's just one of those things where it's like, yo, I just exist. And now, like, I'm a physical representation and a symbolic representation of everything that's wrong with my bloodline. Like, okay, well, I just make videos out here. So yeah.
How did you come out of that? Like, at what point did you see or believe that God could redeem some of that story for you personally? Was it like an ongoing thing, or was there a moment in life where you're like, all right, this is what it is, but I still am redeemed in knowing, you know, that God's family can bring wholeness and all that in a way that maybe in my family legacy could still be tension?
Yeah. No, I definitely have. Couple of things. Two things that I kind of realized. For one, I had to, realize how my relationship with God had been because of it. And then also what that means for us as a family in general. So to start, the first section, with me realizing how my entire childhood and upbringing had been, I kind of noticed that usually any of us, we attribute our earthly father with our heavenly father. So any way that we look at our earthly father is usually the way that we look at our heavenly father. And so I kind of realized a couple of times that, you know, once I found out about my biological father, I started having a lot of questions about me and if I am just likable because I have to be likable too. Like with my father, like, okay, does my father actually just have this relationship with me and is here presently because he just feels like he has to, like there's just an obligation to it, which technically, any father has an obligation to their children. But moreover, like, okay, I just have to be here and I'm going to go ahead and force my love just because I need to.
Right.
Or is it because my dad actually likes me? And so I always had that weird attribution to just father figures in general, where it's like, yo, I don't know if, any of these fatherly figures actually do like me. And when I say like me, I know that my dad loves me. He's provided a lot of discipline, guidance, direction, everything in between. But it was one of the questions where it's like, yo, does my dad actually like me? I'm talking about the nerdy aspects of me. Like, does he like the fact that I like cameras or video games, or I talk about SpongeBob SquarePants? Like, oh, look at this really cool thing about the MacBook because I'm a techie guy. Does he like me? Even if he isn't interested in that stuff, does he actually still like the fact that I am? And so it made me realize, even just like a couple of months ago when I was sitting down in my bedroom by myself, because now luckily I'd gotten the blessing and opportunity to have a house, and I just bought a loan, so it's just me and my dog Jerry out here.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. But sitting down in my bed, I just started breaking down in tears because I just realized I don't know if God likes me. Like, God loves me. We all know this. He's put things in place, but does he actually like me? Does he indulge in me? And he does. He very much does. He created us. He knitted us from the womb from when we were younger. So obviously he will. And I'm talking about all things about me. About my sin, I battle personally the thorn on my side, when it talks about how Paul usually has a thorn on my side, has been lust for a huge time, a long time. And God still loves all of me regardless, with everything that I have been dealing with, like whether it comes to like an addiction to pornography and everything in between. He is there. He still sees me as if I was absolutely pure. And I get to live in that like a kid, a child of God. It was like, okay, oh, yo, you're my dad for real. Got you. Cool. So now when I know that Jesus does actually like me, it also made me realize Jesus isn't afraid of me. Like, he isn't afraid of anything that we've got going on in our lives. Even the stuff that's really hard to speak about. I'm talking about, oh, I'm a heroin addict, but I love to go to church. Oh, okay, Jesus isn't scared of that. He loves you for that. As someone who's worked in multiple different churches before, like, this is gonna be the first time I say this, and Mom, please do not freak out. This is gonna be kind of insane.
Shut up, Mom.
I was working at churches like years ago, and I still went to a strip club. I did, because I wasn't necessarily in tune with just being one with God, being in alignment with him. But still, I still worked at different churches, and I was seen as someone to kind of look up to, and then I still went to a strip club, and I didn't want to say that to anybody.
Right.
I didn't want to say to anyone, but God still loves me regardless. And the thing about the name of Jesus is that when you still enter his name into these situations, if you are in that club and you are saying the name of Jesus, something is going to stir inside of you to get out of there. It's just that powerful.
Absolutely.
Something is going to shift. Something is going to change. And because everything bows to his name, regardless.
Absolutely.
He's not afraid of anything that you're going through. Even if you are that leader who was still kind of going through that stuff.
For sure.
Saying that name, even maybe if a couple of times you're kind of just like, okay, I say his name, but I'm still here. I'm enjoying this stuff. By maybe day 2 or 3 of you doing the same exact thing, you're going to feel it in your heart. And you're gonna hear something say, nah, something is off. Something is off. And I need to leave. And that is conviction. So I'm going on a tangent right now.
No, that's good. You're on a testimony.
No, for sure. No, thank you. I appreciate it. Shucks. So the thing with that is when is because I know that God isn't afraid of any of our sins, even the ones that we are not like willing to say out loud and in public, that we're too scared to bring to anyone. He's not afraid of it, and he still loves you regardless. So that is something that I also have to attribute to everyone, including my family. I'm not afraid of this relationship with my dad and my other dad anymore. I'm not afraid of what that looks like for me. I'm not afraid of going to the very person, the wife of the ex-wife of my biological dad, and still having that one-on-one conversation, knowing that she does not like me and that she hates me with all of the guts inside of her and things of the sort. I don't see that anymore. Like, at the end of the day, I just see a fellow sister. I see a fellow child.
You sound restored, healed, healing, and it oozes out of you, because you could really process that in a way that can lead you down a different road. And I just hearing you talk about this moment in your family history as you've grown up and struggled to know if God likes you. And I think, yes, I think you processing it, saying it, stating it, is helping to affirm the truth that we all behold. Like, nah, God made you just the way you are. And you shouldn't be anybody else, because everybody else is taken. There's only one Brandon.
Everybody else is taken.
Everybody else is taken. So you and God can use the way we are, redeem the good things, and deal with the hard things, and use us for His glory, just the way we are. We don't have to change the way He knitted us to, like,
come on.
You know what I'm saying? We have to, put some of the old things away, but it don't mean changing the way He like created us. That's part of His actual creativity.
Oh yeah.
And so he wanted you to be like video games and have this kind of like childlike energy and interest in tech. And that's who God made you to be. So you just continue to walk in that and shed all the things that are not aligned with Him, but don't change who you are, because God likes you. And whether those people don't see that, they're missing out on God's great creativity as well, for not seeing the way He knitted you. It's like, and they're projecting a false, distorted image onto you that's not the true representation of what God designed in you. So I just want you to be encouraged, man. Like, you cool with me. We love you, man. And it's just good hearing your story, man, for sure. Yeah, I know we got a lot to get into.
Well, that was Pastor Brandon and Deacon Ace, and I guess I'm just kind of like coming in between the program, because that was so good. Listen, shout out to everyone that's tuned in. When we come back, I really want to dive into your first moments in which you've realized that you just had an eye for visuals, and all the contributions you've been able to make in CHH and really Christian culture in general, and how that impacts not even just us being on this stage, but even so many other people. So we'll be right back here on the 116 Life, here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. We'll be right back.
Bye.
And we're back here on the 116 Life, here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. We got Ace Harris, Meah Evans in the building, here with Brandon. And we just wrapped up I'm not going to lie, a great testimony, I guess would be to say. I'm curious to know when you first realized you had an eye for visuals.
Yeah, I don't think it was like a specific moment. I know that I had like an eye for like playful visuals, and then also I would say cinematic visuals. So cinematic and then playful. One of the ones was for the cinematic versions. I think the thing that really caught my eye, it was between two different movies. It was either Get Out, the Jordan Peele, or this really cool movie that's kind of underrated called Whiplash. And so it was a movie about, and I totally forgot the actor's name, but he's a really prominent one. As a matter of fact, J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons, super bald guy, super aggressive face, really intimidating. But he had this incredible performance with Miles Teller in Whiplash, where it was just a story about a teacher who saw a promising young student, but was so toxically aggressive, like in trying to get him better by psychologically breaking his mind, saying, "You're a pig, you're worthless, get out of my room, get out of my school, you can never play drums again," pushing this kid to the brink of tears, blood, literally, and sweat, just to be the greatest drummer to ever exist on the planet. But cinematically speaking, the way that it was shot, the way that it was, the performance, the colors, everything in between, I just thought that even the composition of the frames kind of told a whole whole different side and the story to it. Same thing kind of with like Get Out. A lot of times you can sometimes tell the story and the meaning and the metaphors of a film, of a movie, without even hearing the audio. Like simply looking at the visuals tells you everything that you need to know. And so that's usually what kind of got me into it. But then I will say what sparked a lot of the spirit of like the childhood creativity. Getting a little nerdy here. Okay. So I'm going to speak to some folks and I'm also going to turn off some other ones. Is a show called One Piece. Okay.
It's an anime.
It's anime.
Yeah.
Exactly. But specifically One Piece and Naruto, I would say. And I guess Demon Slayer. Those three were pretty good. One Piece is currently actually, for a fun fact, the most popular anime in the entire world. And it's actually one of the most popular, if not the most popular, fictional novel to ever exist. And it recently beat Superman in all-time sales for comic books and stories and things of the sort. So it is a huge entity, a very successful franchise in terms of business, but it's also because the story resonates so heavily with so many people. One of the folks that are inside of this anime, the main character named Luffy, it's really hard to explain the entire story, but long story short, there is this one goal, this one gigantic treasure out in the middle of nowhere that a bunch of pirates are trying to reach, called the One Piece, and only the most powerful person can achieve it. But once you get the One Piece, you are deemed the most free person in the entire planet, and you have the most power of all. But Luffy himself, when everyone is training to get stronger and they're looking at all the geopolitical politics that's going on, and you know, everything that kind of goes on in the show when it comes to, because they touch on a lot of different topics. Like I'm talking about slavery and racism in its own kind of way, shape, or form, and just all the different things. A lot of hard issues that are going on in this gigantic world that's created in One Piece. And Luffy is the sole one person who has the purest heart. Knowing all of these things that are going on around, he still treats everything like a kid, purely. If he just sees something that needs to be fixed and someone that needs to be helped, he helps them on his way to reaching this goal. And so I kind of think of it in the same exact retrospect as like, yo, here's the kingdom. We're all trying to reach this kingdom. There is crazy things that are going on in this world right now. There's lying, cheating, like just robberies and robberies of the soul, robberies of the heart, robberies of anything that's monetary. And there is a freedom that is to be achieved when reaching the kingdom. This is some place that we never have to worry about all this crap that's going on ever again. But it does not mean that we have to be super reflective of everything that wrong and hurtful that is going on to the point where it infects our lives as well. We have the ability to be just as strong, just as powerful, and just as ready to help everyone in the midst of reaching this one goal of reaching the kingdom. And so that's kind of like what kind of brought the spirit into it. So that's why usually in anything that I do, with all the hard stuff that we have going on as creatives, and whether it's musicians, artists, PR, management, everything in between, there are so many folks that we have to come into contact with, so many hard relationships, so much grit that we need to go through. It can totally drain our lives, but the spirit of joy that is so innate, if we keep with the source who is God, if that is consistent and persistent throughout anything that we do, I really think that we'll be able to reach that freedom. That's the reason. So that's the reason why I say One Piece. Like, it has been a huge inspiration in anything that I do.
So good. Like, and so you were watching this at what age did you kind of get into that? And
actually, it was during COVID.
Oh, okay.
So I would say probably, when was COVID? 2019?
It's crazy. It's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you had, this is like a kind of like a recent inspiration that you've kind of used into your work. And so did that affect the way you shoot and everything in terms of seeing that anime? How did it affect your technical approach to some of the work you do?
I would say akin to like going something akin to like going to the gym. I'd say, for example, you're training something. When in the gym, you're training your body as much as possible. But you feel like you have to have this certain mentality when training your body. And you can never you can never let up, kind of a deal. I don't know how to explain it. It's something that I'm still trying to navigate and speak through as I continue to like create content moving forward. But when I attribute it to the work that I do, my biggest thing is trying to become a great videographer and a great cinematographer. Anything that has to deal with anything visually, to the best of my ability, while still retaining a beginner's heart in anything that I do. So like the confidence and maybe not necessarily even the confidence, but the stupidity of the mind that I had of just being an idiot when I had even going into this stuff is the same thing that I want to retain when I finally do know everything and I am getting better at everything. Because usually, like, I'm speaking for videographers in specific and directors in general. The older we get, we feel like we got to be super serious in everything we do. So, like, we got to be like, okay, we can't laugh too much. I mean, I was even a part of a shoot one time. I'll omit the celebrities' names, but they're huge celebrities. One time I was a part of a BCS of the shoot, and it felt like a scene where if you laughed, you're fired. It's like, yo, it's a music video. Oh. Hello? Like, can we not? And it's nothing to do with here. It's not here. It's not anything to do with Reach or anything. It was a secular artist.
You can let us know on the side. We'll hey, the joy. You're allowed to laugh, y'all. It's all good.
I was about to say, nah. But like, it was just one of those situations where like, okay, all these guys were super serious, and I felt like they only had to be super serious because they're in a super professional setting and they're creating super professional content. And it's like, and I'm just thinking to the effect, why? Like, if we can create super professional content and still laugh about donuts or something at the end of the day if you want. Like, let's do that. If we bring that joy, it's gonna show into the content that we make no matter what we do. And so that's kind of the approach that I had when it came to just how that inspires the work. Because Luffy is a person where he trains so hard. His body is always to the brink of death in the way that he trains his own body to become the strongest pirate in their world and their universe and the entire planet, right? To the point where he's become so strong, he's unserious. Like, everyone still can't beat him in anything. The strongest people in the world can't beat this guy in strength and whenever they're in a fight and all that kind of stuff. But he's become so strong, like he does not have a care in the world. He still cares for people. He still has a pure heart. He laughs, but like, it's freedom. If that makes any sense, freedom. So that's kind of how I'm attributing this to even just the craft. How can I be the greatest at cinematography, directing, script writing, what we want, what kind of story we want to visually and audibly tell, but then also, you know, I can still talk about this SpongeBob SquarePants episode with somebody.
I love it.
Not feel a certain type of way about it.
I love it.
When I really want to know how you got connected with the CHH space. You know, I know you said that you're a Reach fan for so long, and you've been tapped in with so many different artists. You were at Holy Smoke, shout out to Indie Tribe, and you've always been tapped in with you. What was like your first connection into the space where you got a chance to really showcase your work?
Yeah. I had originally started doing drawings for people and artwork. So that's what a lot of people...
Draw. Okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry, what?
I didn't know you hand draw. Okay.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even my profile picture is something that I drew as well. But I used to do that a lot for even Rapzilla, as a matter of fact. So they had one of their XXL freshman ciphers. And so I did a whole bunch of them for like AI the Anomaly and everybody in between. And I even had my first like entry into this with No Big Deal, when he had this one song called Fragile. And so I created the cover artwork for that at the time, long time ago, for that. And then it kind of shifted into me then I graduated college because this was while I was in college. And it shifted to me working at a church here in Georgia. So the church is called Turning Point Church.
Turning Point. Is that in Gwinnett?
No, it's in Stockbridge,
McDonough,
McDonough, Georgia. And so, and it's a great church. You should check it out. And Tony Collier is an amazing leader there as well.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
there's that. Yeah, she's incredible. And she's also, side note, she's also a big inspiration on just the idea of being childlike in anything you do. Like, that lady is wild.
Yeah.
Tony's
Shout out Tony, yeah.
For sure. Anyway, so I came to this church, and the son of the pastor there, his name is Micah Turner. He's a youth pastor. He actually had a connection with the 1K Few. And so there was just a time where he wanted to introduce me to 1K Few. And I created some BTS recording for them and this 1K Famo thing that they had going on. And it's just been a relationship ever since.
Has there ever been something where you were a part of where you were like, man, this is really special. I'm happy I got the chance to capture this.
Yeah. This is probably a no-brainer, but the Reconstruction tour. Huh? Like, wait a minute. Okay? Like, hey, everybody thinks they know Lecrae from the outside in, but like he is the same inside as well. I mean, this guy is incredibly retrospective and he is super helpful. He's the type of person that even on his tour, he will take a moment to pour into you and just like give you some form of, encouragement, maybe some kinds of lessons. He's such a theologian and he's so powerful in that. But even in seeing the types of people that he has impacted over the years, like he was the person that got me into CHH in the first place with his Gravity album. There was actually a girl that I had a crush on who I was just trying to like say hi to. And, I didn't listen to anything CHH yet, but I was trying to get her attention. So she told me about Lecrae and this Gravity album. I was like, all right, I'll just listen to it so I can get your number. She never spoke to me again, but I still listened to it though.
You got something out of it though.
I did.
Yeah.
And so there was that. So shout out to Rebecca.
Yeah,
for sure.
Name drops.
She's not going to see this. I hope not. Anyways, but yes, seeing that though, from like when I was a sixth grader in middle school, and then like listening to all seeing the Man Up series that you guys had from a way back when, to Uno Says, and then to of course the Anomaly, and then All Things Were Together, everything between Church Clothes, even going into backlogs, and I was like looking at this impact that happened over the course of years of all these fans coming together from Germany, from all these different places that I even got a chance to speak to and ask them, yo, how did you even get connected to this? Yeah. And then even speaking with Swoop, who was also a huge influence on my life as well, as he, helped to put on the Reconstruction tour. It was like, man, this is very tight knit. This is a family that has grown, not even just from Reach Records, but even outside. Like there are people that have come back that had been at previous shows multiple times that even Lecrae remembers. And so it was just that was a moment where I was like, man, to see this in real time, this impact is just incredibly overwhelming.
That's so dope.
Before we go, I really admire what you do. If I could be honest, Ace, I've really had in my mind for us to have a videographer or like photographer, someone behind the scenes for a while. And I was just kind of watching, because like, you have people like in the space who are known, but but I was kind of thinking like, I don't know, there's no one that like really like, we could have this person or we could have this person. But I think what really made me think about you was when we did Fuse What's Understood show here in Atlanta, and I was just like, we need to have Brandon on, just because I admire your work and your work ethic, and even like Ace was saying earlier, like the energy you bring. When I first met Brandon, we did the 106 in Park promo for All I Need With You, and that was I've never laughed so much,
super hard,
had so much fun on set, and you helped contribute to that, what I'm saying, on screen and behind the scenes. And I don't think a lot of people can really even understand the fact that even you taking video and pictures and drawing, not only can you be massively creative, but also you can really dedicate that to the Lord and honor him through that. If people are watching who are in that same digital art space, whether it's photography, video, or art, what would you say to them if they're looking for ways and they're thinking, well, is there really a way for me to even like glorify God with this? Like what would you say to that person?
If there's a way to glorify God with it, okay, let me say this carefully. Sorry. I just because I did have this conversation with Tony a couple of months back. And it was the idea that I think even KB said it one time where not all Christian music is God pleased with. And there are still secular songs that still serve the kingdom, like at the end of the day. So I really think at the end, when it comes down to it, knowing who God is, for one, is totally key, and figuring out what is the core of what you do, and knowing that it still serves God, if that makes any sense. So like anything that we can really do, if it does line up with scripture, and it does not need to say Jesus, does not need to say God all the time, because there are still some certain aspects that are actually still biblical, like for example, honoring your mother and your father. You know, a song about how you love moms and stuff like that. Like, even is going to be probably a wild take. Even Tupac was probably biblical in creating that one song about his mother. So that is a potential. But in that kind of regard, anything that we do can serve the kingdom in ways that we never imagined. There's ways for people to get testimonies from the folks that aren't even necessarily the most biblical or anything of the sort. I mean, even Connor Price is like a great example of someone who can still serve the kingdom with the type of music that he creates. His music can help build families. So yeah, I think just knowing who God is. If you know who God is, you know what to serve with.
That's well said, man.
Very well said.
I feel like, man, I just want to say I appreciate you, man. It was so great and inspiring having you on. Just your heart, your joyfulness, and your just excitement and your gifts. So, man, it was just a great time. And don't be a stranger, man. Have you come back anytime, man, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I had a question for y'all in general, though, because like you guys are legendary people. Okay, for one, Ace, why don't you like dogs?
I don't hate dogs.
Yeah, okay.
I don't hate dogs.
He likes boundaries.
Dogs, I don't hate them. Dogs are actually, your dog is very, amazing. It's cute and cuddly. It's actually a chill dog. I got a big ball dog twice in my life. One as an adult too.
That was dark. All right, never mind. I take it back. Okay,
I've got bitten by a dog twice.
Okay, that makes total sense. And then Meah, how do you do your hair? What is the secret?
Shoot, man. Time management. That's the key. That is the key. And stewardship, I would also say as well. I just recently got my hair cut, actually. So being able to take care of what you got and manage your time well. Stay up late, ladies. It's worth it. Stay up late so you can get that good braid out. Great twist out in the morning. That's my best advice.
That's a word.
It is a word.
It is.
Listen, we're about to go into church if we stay on this episode any longer. Shout out to everyone that's rocking with this episode, and shout out to Brandon for being on this episode. We hope it encouraged you and inspired you to be able to have that childlike wonder and be creative in all aspects and let it glorify the Lord. Thank y'all for tuning in once again. Shout out to Matt for holding down the operation as always, and we'll see you guys next week right here on the 116 Live here on Holy Culture Radio, Sirius XM Channel 140. We'll see you guys next week.